Hello folks, welcome to the latest instalment, dirty camera, latest instalment of the Range Rover Classic Restoration. I hope you're enjoying the series so far. Please feel free to leave your comments and feedback on basically the work I'm doing here. If you've got any questions about this, then ask. I'm not that scary. I try not to swear as well. I'm going to try and make this my first non-sweary video. Might not work, I don't know. Sometimes it's just too much aggravation to edit all the swearing out. But I'm not as foul-mouthed as I might come across. Actually, I am, I'm worse. It's Saturday, midday. I've had a bit of a lazy morning, I'm afraid. Right, so first and foremost, let's look at... Right, so let's bring out... I kicked it under here in disgust. There it is. This is one of the other air filters. I don't think they even make this style anymore. In fairness to Britpop, this is one that I've had for about 3 or 4 years. And what we'll do is we'll do a like-by-like comparison between this and the other one. So this is the style I bought. These are supplied by Famous 4. Other suppliers are available. Right, so that's the filter, pretty much as you remember. So that's in its virgin state. Okay, it's just got dirty as it's got on the bench. In its virgin state, as it comes off, and as you can see, even without the rubber gasket, it's not the easiest to fit on. Certainly not one-handed. You have to stretch it, and when you stretch it, you start breaking the banding, and then you're at risk of unfiltered air. This is the other side. Oh, it's a world different already. First and foremost, there are no additional gaskets because it didn't need them. Nice and compliant. Bends single-handed. Can we do it single-handed? No, we might need to do double-handed. But you can see the difference in the construction already. It's got a moulded head and foot, and I would imagine that it's going to be much more efficient at sealing the air out. So let me pause for a second and I'll fit this on. 30 seconds later, and no swearing, and it went straight on. I am happy enough with the fit of that. That seems to be quite robust as an air filter. But certainly a lot better than this cheaper design. As I say, in fairness to Britpop, they probably don't supply this part anymore. I'd hope they wouldn't, because I'd imagine that every single person that bought it would be cursing them over it. And as I say, I bought these about 4 years ago. So, that can go in the Black Museum of things you shouldn't buy. I do buy a lot of Britpop stuff, so I'm not being unfair to Britpop, but that particular part was not fit. Right, save cylinder. This is the one that I have put new seals in, but, you know, the hydraulics aren't working. I know these things are a pain in the arse to bleed. There's all sorts of different mechanisms of doing that. Alas, when I pulled it out, there might have been some swearing, because the flipping push rod came out of it as well. And anyone that's worked on an LT95 knows that getting this push rod back in and the clip over the arm is a right proper pain in the bottom. Later, I found the old wooden handle that I made for my angle grinder, because I broke the plastic one, and then found a decent one. So it's already got a hole in it. Wedge that in there, give him a tap downwards, and that might just do the trick. I'm going to go underneath the car and see if I can fit this in. Let me show you what the challenge is here. If I get the arm, oh my goodness, there's an arm. So there's the clutch arm, that mounts inside the gearbox. Obviously the clutch release, let's clear some of this crap off the bench. Oh, I've sworn. Clutch release goes onto there. And what I'm basically looking to do is to manoeuvre that through a tiny little hole onto there, and then give it a stout tap with the number 5 adjuster persuader. Like that. Right. Adapted the tool somewhat. First and foremost, I couldn't have it tight in there because, let's move that drill out of the way. What I've done is I've put the spare cross shaft I've got here in place, because I wouldn't know when I was putting this in whether I was anywhere near the ball going into the socket at the bottom there, because the forks on the end there were a problem. So then I pulled this middle shaft out. 1 second, here he is, it's come out a little bit. So when I push this in, it does locate the ball, and I can feel that's located, yeah, because this thing doesn't wobble side to side, but it goes backwards and forwards. So ideally you want it as far forward as you can go, but there is about 2 inches of free play on this thing, which is why they fix the push rod to the arm. I've read one report that the plastic clip on the LT95 clutch slave cylinder is only required for assembly, and I've read that it's not required in service, but that's not substantiated. So I am going to do my best to refit the clip and the push rod. Now, in order to hold the fork in, I've had to just drill a small recess into the end of the dowel so that it sits flat on there, so when I bang it in, I'm getting contact over much of the area as I possibly can. And secondly, I then had to hold it all together with a tie wrap. Now, while I was doing this, I was thinking, it's alive. While I was doing this, I was thinking, okay, so the challenge is I get that in there, and then I push the arm down, and you can see it's pushing the arm away from me. How do I then get the forks over the edge there? And then I thought, this tie wrap might just be able to help me. You see I drilled a hole through the ender and put the tie wrap through it. Now, if I were to locate, because this thing's swivelling side to side, and it wouldn't do that in service, so let me just clamp it, pause, resume. So it wouldn't swivel side to side inside the gearbox, because obviously it's got the carrier on that end. So what I've decided to do now is you push the ball into the arm, push the tool down so you can feel the fork touching there, and wiggle backwards and forwards. Right. You can see the challenge here is that you kind of want almost to go into an angle, and then, I mean, this is the easy way of doing it. You can see why people swear about this, because if I were doing this inside the gearbox bell housing, you wouldn't be able to see what's going on. So you can see the challenges here. This, I mean, strictly speaking, the bloody push rod should not have come out, but it did. And it's quite a common feature for these things. I don't know if the clip has worn or stretched or something.
Right, so there's the light on. Now, we're looking up the passenger side of the bell housing, and there you can see the wooden tool with the tie wrap on it. And basically what happened was I pushed it into the hole, located the dowel into the end of the cross shaft, and then wiggled it backwards and forwards, and it went click, and it's gone in. So I'm hoping now, the only thing I have to do now is to pull the tie wrap out. So I'm going to cut the tie wrap, and holding the dowel in place, I'm going to see if I can pull the tie wrap right out. And that is going to be then a Kim result. The next thing I'll probably have to do is just put a screwdriver down the inside of the dowel. When I pull the dowel off, I don't want it to pull the push rod out. But that could be quite a useful fix there. Bit of stolen idea, I guess, or stolen concept. But it worked. Right, let me get this thing out.
Flipping LED lights packed up. It would work this morning, and it's just packed up. And of course, can't see a damn thing now. What I've basically been doing here is I've replaced the inlet and outlet hose for the heater. So I've just like looped them around, just using a piece of silicone hose. It means I don't have to fit the heater into the car yet. So air filter can go back on now. A tiny bit of wiring to do, then I can try and start this up. I've got a new battery to go. I've still not wired up all the dash instruments, so I'm still going to have to mess around with my manual. Oh, battery can come out. That was knackered. With my manual oil pressure light, I got there in the end. Clutch hydraulics are working beautifully. Get on with this. Test that fucker, and then we can test the gearbox. Just getting ready for the big startup. So what I've had to do, because the wiring had been butchered around the ignition switch for an immobiliser, not a particularly effective one, mind, I've had to kind of mess around a fair amount with the wiring. I've got it back to more or less a standard setup now. So the next step is to connect the battery. I haven't got a body earth yet, but I've got an engine earth, and I've got an earth that goes to the... Oh, look, cat's come to inspect the works. Alright, so I'll connect up the earth. So there's now an earth to the engine earth to the body. Now, in theory, when I connect this up here... Hello, cat. What? Oh, you're coming to have a closer look, are you? Oh, you dig. Right, this cat's about fucking 5,000. What I want to do is just check to see if there is voltage there, and there should be. Probably could do with a voltmeter, couldn't I? Cap. Wait a minute. But for some reason, the instrument console is not lighting up, and I suspect it's because I'm coughing. I suspect it's because it's not earthed in any way whatsoever. So I'm going to have to look at the earth on the instrument console, because I was rather anticipating that I would get something there. Right, so I think what I need to do is go and get some fuel. And also I need to connect up this fuel filler, which I've got somewhere. Might be down here. My pound shop wonder. There's the fuel filler. And there's the pipe. So let's rig this up. Just going to need a bit of a cable tie, I think, just to hold it all in place. I've got some clips and things, so let me get that done. And then I'll come back to you in a minute. Fuel. I had to go and get fuel. So I've just lobbed about 10 litres in there. I'm just about to fire up the ignition and see if we get see if it pisses all fuel out anyway. Yes, that works. I've just noticed something annoying over there. There, on the door, the seal isn't covering up around the hinge. And I don't know why. I think I pushed the bottom of the door out too far. That's fucking irritating. I think what's going to have to happen here... Sorry, I just got distracted then for a second. This seal is not being compressed down. Find the window down. Notice how easily that goes down. Shut. And... yeah, I think the bottom of the door is too far out, which would correspond with the fact that it's a tighter gap there. So what I need to do is reduce the thickness of that spacer. I'm going to reduce the thickness of that spacer there. Yeah, that's weird. I wonder, maybe just because the seal needs to settle down a little bit, but I love how I get distracted by these things. Right, okay, let's give this thing a go. The exhaust might be a bit noisy because it's all kind of hanging off really. Right, so ignition on. It does that on the starter motor, I don't know why. Got more pressure. Or maybe we're not. The oil pressure lights come off, which doesn't help, does it? Right. Got oil pressure now. Sorry, we haven't got oil pressure now, so let's just do it again. I've got to sort this fucking... I said we were getting fuel, but we're not. Because if I turn the ignition on into the on position, what I've done is I've taken the fuel feed off. Now, so either the pickup isn't reaching down to where the fuel is, but I can soon check that out. Let's take that off there for a minute. What I'll do, because it's possible the feed isn't coming right from the very bottom, so I've got some fuel. I will see with a bucket of petrol whether that fuel pump sucks on the fuel. Right, let me get organised with that. I think I found the problem. Homemade fuel tank, sender doesn't reach the bottom of it. So when I blow on the stub into the fuel tank, it's just blowing into fresh air. So obviously the fuel pump's struggling to suck. So what I've done is I have attached a fuel line onto the pump directly into the jerry can. See what happens now. So I'm anticipating that I get fuel up here now. not a huge amount of fucking pressure on there. I think the pump is foobar. Okay, we're going to have to do the startup. It's going to have to be on the jerry can. That's irritating. The pump's not working. There's hardly any suction on it. I think the pump's fucked. You pump. Not worth fucking around with. Temporary fuel cam rigged up. I can't be arsed with knobbing around with this thing. Right, now let's see if now we get action. Exhaust is blowing a bit. Just tested the voltage on the battery, and the battery voltage, even though it's brand new, has dropped to too close to 12 volts. And I think with a tight engine and so forth, it's just not enough. So I brought the start and charge out. Let's see if this works. So what I'll do is I'll set you up, and then we'll just video this. Put them up here, I think. Up here. Let's do it up here. Sort of. A little bit mucky in there. Right, a lot of light there. Okay, no. Right, so turn him on. We're onto a boost position. Oh. This sounds like a World War II aircraft. This exhaust isn't sealing though. Let me adjust the ignition a bit more, degree or two. So the ignition's probably too far out. Bloody start and charge things in the way now. Rough setting at the moment. Need to find a way to keep this thing running without too much throttle. I'll see if I can turn the idle sleep. Not that bad, is it? It's going to upset any of the carburetor or anything up here. There's no ignition timing done yet. There's no carburetor set up. It's run. Right, let's use Second gear, it needs adjusting, it's grinding. pretty sure that the grating on second gear is nothing to do with second gear, but to do with the reverse gear, because it's right above it. So I'm just double checking the reverse gear selector adjustment, because you can't really adjust the other gears. They're all pinned in. So if it's not the reverse gear selector, then I've got a problem, because it means there's a wear on one of the shims. But I'm hoping, because it sounds like it, that it's reverse gear. So I will now... I need a feeler gauge now. Right, I've adjusted the gear change. Now I can't get third and fourth gear, but let's see if we fix the problem with second gear. Come on. We're in second gear. We can set this up. Gearbox is good. Gearbox covers in, fits nicely, snug all round. Got a bit of a sealant going all around the edges of it. Minor cock up though, in that I can't find the trim that goes around the gear stick hole. I'm pretty sure I've left it back at base, centre of excellence. However, can't fit the heater until that's done. Anyway, just moving on to something else, I guess. Door, driver's door, look at that, behold the beauty. So I'm going to start assembling this and get it fitted, hung on the car. Drove up to Nationwide Trim yesterday, who've had my seats for re-trimming, and this is the job they've done. I'm well impressed. It's beautiful. They've powder coated the frames, re-padded the seats, new webbing, new clips. They look absolutely stunning, don't they? Lovely. Can't wait to put these in. They will be the very, very last thing that goes in the car though, because I'm not going to risk messing these up. There's a back seat at the back there. And then rustle. They've also supplied, these are the seat backs. So the parts go right on the back of the seat. Let me pause for a second. So the cappings, this is why everything's in plastic at the moment, because I'm not going in near anything, because I've got grubby hands. It's all wrapped in plastic, but these are brand spanking new cappings that go either side of the rear seat. Beautiful. B-post cappings. Door cappings. So 2 pairs of door cappings, and these little fellas here, these are the end caps. So the only thing I'm going to need to buy, I think, is the A-post capping, which is a piece of plastic rather than anything that's particularly trimmed. So yeah, I'm well chuffed with this lot. Should be. Cost a lot of money, but these guys are very, very good at what they do. So to prepare the car really for the seats to go in, I've been messing around with the driver's door. I had some problems with the lock because the new skin that went on didn't line up entirely with the inner shell. It's only a couple of millimetres out, but it was enough to stop the lock turning in one direction. So I had to kind of sort that out. It's nothing particularly serious and nothing that really caused me to swear too much, just a little bit irritating. So whenever you're putting anything together, always check each stage. Then I put the door seal in. This thing really did have me swearing. If you're going to do it yourself, I strongly recommend you don't. Not unless you want to go insane. Lots of this stuff. Other products are available. And I found a really good way of doing it was with a bent screwdriver, a bit of tape wrapped around it. And what you basically do is you slot it into the outer face first of all, and then you can lever it in. But you're working a centimetre at the time. Incredibly slow progress. And because my hands were grubby, now the whole car is absolutely covered in grubby paw prints. So I'm going to run some panel wipe over this just to tidy things up, and then I can crack on with the door, I think. So the door goes on next, and I'm going to shim it all out. The lock's already on it, so let me get the door hung on again. I had to take it off to do the seal down the hinge edge. There's no way could I do it with the door in place. A bit irritating, but you know. Next time I'll put the seal on first. It's coming together. It's such a faff doing these things. Basically what I'm doing before I put the channel in there, I'm making sure I've got enough of a gap at the front of the door here. I'll put the fat washer at the top. Then I put the front wing on. I tried the new front wing I'm going to put on there, and it's got exactly the same gaps. I just rather not risk the paintwork on it until the door's in the right place. I think the next thing now is to put the glass frame in there. So I've got the locks and the handles and everything, all the mechanisms are in there and working. It's not the easiest door to close, but it will come. So you have to really give it some shut now. But the other side was a little bit like this. This side, with all the weight and stuff in it now, opens nicely, closes nicely, opens, doesn't close. You need to keep your hand on it basically. As you can see, they've got lots of rattles in the door. This door over here has got a lot of rattles in it, but I think, yeah, like I say, next thing is put the frame on the top. And that's another step closer then. Yes. Top frame's now assembled, got the glass in it, cleaned the edges up, haven't cleaned the whole thing yet. Got the mechanism on the bottom of the quarter-light glass, and the door's ready to accept the thing I've made. So, mindful of the last time I did this, first of all, I've fitted this bloody captive plate up here, which is an absolute nightmare to get in there, a sod. So that's in. I put a bit of double-sided tape on it, so I'm anticipating, hoping, that's going to stay in place when I pull the bolt out. It feels pretty sticky in there right now. And regulators in there. So it's just a case of lifting the top frame in there now, and then fitting it up. Irritatingly, I've not painted the brackets. I've not done anything with them at all. I've got another pair. I should get them powder coated as part of my batch and then replace them. But in the meantime, I'm just going to use those two. Right, let me, if I set this up, you might be able to watch me flounder. Right, there we go. Move that out of the way. How about that? There we go. Right. So what can possibly go wrong here? Well, I'm almost tall enough. So this is what I'm using. Oh, sorry, it's not bolted. I thought it was the regulator in the way, but it's not. It's this bolt. So I'm going to take this bolt out and I'm going to pray to the gods of blah, 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 that captive plate stays in there. Right, that's gone in. Then past the regulator, past the lock, and down. So let's put this back in again. I mean, why wouldn't you put a captive nut in there, eh? Why not? Why's it got to be a bloody captive plate? Why does it happen? It has to be a fucking captive plate. Right, so it needs to go down a little bit more. The trouble is, if I bang it, it's likely to go medieval at my arse. You can't see fuck all because the door's open. Okay, so what I need to do is to get this edge to go past the captive plate, which it's so close to doing. What I might have to do is, that's going to go, there it goes, just tight, that's all. There we go, right, it's down. Now, hey, that's still there. All hail the god of double-sided tape. So kind of more or less the same point as the door on the passenger side, and I've had enough now. It is 8 o'clock, knackered. I've been on the go for 3 hours,
Nah, kidding. 11 hours. But I've done a wedge of work today. It's not bad. It's got to the point now where it probably needs a lift on the bottom. Just to clear it, but I've left the striker where it was, and it does actually close now. So it closes and it's clear at the front, and if I line up the second-hand wing, whoops, not scratching the door, put a bolt through it to hold it in place. Line onto the door is more or less spot on there, so I'm happy with that. I need to put the back wing on really to confirm it, but I think for a day's work, including putting the seal in, yeah. So the seal went in. Seal went in, and now it's all done and dusted. So all of the, well, that was a bare door shell I put on there. It's an empty door shell with all its locks, the door seal. Let's see if the window regulator works. I have, oh, it's stuck. Right, okay, so we need to do some adjustments to make the window regulator a little bit easier, but I had this on the passenger side as well. Probably find it will go up and down a bit easier later on. I'm not going to leave it down for that because I don't want to break it. That would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Right. Probably selling myself short here somewhat. Put my glasses back on straight again. Probably selling myself short here somewhat. Let me show you what I've managed to achieve. So there you go. Nice even gap up the top here. The frame needs to just pull in a little bit at the top. Beautiful gap. Nice and even all down the passenger side. The front wing side when I pull it into where it will be. So that's beautiful. I've not put the back wing on yet. The gap at the top is good. The gap at the top's a little bit wide. If anything, this door could go in just a tiny bit further. The gap down here ain't bad. And when I pull it, it drops about 2 or 3 mil. You can see as I close it, it's clear. But then what happens is it rides up on the striker. And the idea is you want it to be level with the striker as it closes. So for a first attempt, I'm actually pretty chuffed with that. Door seal all the way around, lines up. It's compressed all the way around. It's not at the top there. So there it's not. That needs pulling in, and that means pushing that out, which will probably help the window winding up and down. Tomorrow.